Hello beautiful people, this is Krishna and I welcome you to another tutorial of CodeEra. So in today's tutorial, we'll be building a JS counter using HTML, CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. For this, you don't need to have the advanced knowledge of JavaScript, you just need to know how to declare a variable, how to create functions and also how to use if conditionals. Other than that, everything is well and good. So before moving further, if you are new to my channel, I want you to hit that subscribe button and also press that bell icon so you get notified whenever a new video is uploaded on my channel. So without any further delay, let's get started. So let me just show you the preview that what we are going to build in this tutorial. So let me just open up the Chrome browser and here is the simple counter that we are going to build in this tutorial. So when I click on this plus, the counter increases, and when I click on this minus, the counter decreases. So this is the simple JavaScript counter that we are going to build in this tutorial. So let me just minimize the window and then okay, so here we are in the Visual Studio Code. So let me just maximize the window. Okay, so possibly that is fine. So here we are going to create a HTML file by the name index.html, a CSS file where we are going to store the code for styling our HTML elements, and also a JavaScript file with the name javascript.js. And now let's begin with this index.html. So I think it's not right here. Okay, so here we are well and good. So I will start by hitting the exclamation and enter. So this will give me a simple boilerplate that I need for my journey. And here I will change the title from document to JavaScript counter. Okay, so here in the body I will include a div element with the class container. So now let me just maximize the window so you could be possibly able to see it properly, so you can view the code properly. And okay, Z. Okay, so now I think the code is clearly visible to you. Okay, so inside this container I will create two input elements with the type button so that they can be the minus sign and the plus sign. So here in the value I am going to pass minus for the first one, and for the second one I will just pass the plus sign. And in between these two buttons I am going to include a span element with the class showCount and pass a value of around 10. Okay, so let me just save it. So the span element is going to be this entire box that we will create in the further tutorial. Okay, so let me just open it using the live server. Okay, so let me just maximize the window and show it to you. Okay, so here is the minus and the plus and the counter, I mean the span element. So let's start by styling these elements. We need to include the CSS file into our HTML file by using the link tag and passing the value as style.css to href attribute. Next, by save, and then inside this CSS file I will start by targeting each and every element of my web page and give it a margin of 0 pixels and a padding of 0 pixels, and also set the box sizing to border box. So these are just the default values I pass whenever I create anything using HTML and CSS. So next, I will also give a default font size, that is 62.5%, and next we will target the body element and set a dark blue background color. And here I am going to use the hex codes, which are normally the indications of the colors. So here you can see our blue background, I mean the dark blue background, and our elements are just right here at the top right corner of our page. So now let's first target the counter, I mean the span element, so that we can view it properly. As we have used the class name showCount for the span element, so I am going to target it using that class name itself. And so paste, and then I will give it a height of 12 rem and a width of 14 rem, and also a font size of 8 rem. And then let me just add color so that the number will be clearly visible to you. So here also I am going to use the hex code, which is in turn the light blue color. So okay, so here you can see span element, which has the value of 10. So this font or the font style is not that I want for my counter. So here you can see how beautiful the font style of these fonts is. So I will change it by using the Google fonts. So by opening up a new tab and typing Google fonts, and then inside this first website we will search for railway. Okay, so this is the font, and inside this I am going to use this extra bold font style. So by clicking on this, select this style, okay, and just by copying this code from here and by including it into our HTML file, and we also need to add this line of code into our CSS file so that the font will be set to each and every element. And to do that, I will include this font family inside my container, which is the parent element of this showCount element. So copy paste and then Ctrl S to save. Okay, so now it looks good. Okay, so now let's continue with the styling of this element. Now we will give a border of 2 pixels solid light blue, and also a border radius of 5 pixels. Okay, so here it is well and good. So I think the upper border is not visible, so let me just take this entire container at the center of my page. So I will get back to the container code and set the position of this container to absolute, and then move it 50% from the top and 50% from the left, and also transformed by using the translate function so that this particular container remain at the center of the page even when you enlarge or reduce the size of this web page. So next we are done with the centering. Next we will give some padding to this counter, and which is going to be 0.5 rem from the top bottom and 1 rem from the left right. Okay, so Ctrl S to save. Okay, so the padding is none, but I think it's not a proper one. So first I need to set it to display inline block, and now let's just refresh it. Okay, so I think we are yet missing with something else. The thing we are missing is we need to center this text. So we are going to use the text align property and set it to center. Okay, so let the page load. Okay, so now the counter is at the center of this box, and next it's time to style these buttons. So for this I am directly going to target the input elements. And then first I will remove the border, and then give it a transparent background, and then increase the font size to 7 rem, and give it a color, and give it a blue color by using the hex codes. Okay, so the things are good now, but I think we are yet missing something because it doesn't look as beautiful as this one. I know even this is the simple, but even it's looking beautiful. So let's just do it. So next I will set the font weight to bold, and then give a margin of 2 rem. Okay, so Ctrl S to save. Okay, so now it looks as similar as to this counter. Okay, so now one more thing, when I hover on these buttons, I need to have the cursor like this one, like a finger pointing on these buttons. So I will just use the cursor pointer property, and then save, and then save. So here we go. Here you can see I can get that pointing hand on these buttons too. So till here we are done with our styling part. Now it's time to add the functionality to these buttons. So before that, we need to do one thing, that is to add the JavaScript file into the HTML by using the script tag and passing the value, that is the script.js, to the source attribute. Okay, so Ctrl S to save. Let me just format the document. Okay, so now it looks good. So Ctrl S to save. So here in the JavaScript file, I am going to start by creating a variable by the name count and assigning it the value that I have passed inside this span element. So first I will copy this class name from here, and then in this JavaScript file, document.query selector, and then dot the class name. Not only this, we also need to use the inner HTML attribute so that the value, that is the 10, will be assigned to this count variable. And next I will also create a variable which goes by the name num and assign a value of 0 to it. Then here we are going to create two of the functions which are individually assigned to this minus and this plus. So first I am going to create a function with the name sub, which means the subtraction, and here I am going to use the arrow functions because I think this is the shortest form of creating a function and it is more reliable to create. So here first I will reassign the num variable to pass int and pass in count and then -1. So the use of this parseInt function is that the value that is being stored inside this count variable is being stored in the form of a string or the characters. So in order to convert these string values into integer form, we are using this parseInt function, and this -1 is for the reduction of our count. And then I will reassign the count variable to num so that this particular value will be assigned to count. So let us just check how this subtraction function works. So I'm just going to copy this line of code from here and paste it here, and then assign the count variable to it. And then we also need to do one more thing, that is by copying it here, and then when you click this minus button, it should do the reducing part. So let's just check. Let me just save it, and then okay, so it's working very well. The same thing we need to do with our plus button. Okay, so let's just do it. Back to here, and for this I'm just going to copy this from here and then paste it here, and going to change the name of the function from sub to add, and then the minus sign to plus sign, and that's it. We are done, and Control S to save. And then one more thing, that is call this function inside our HTML by just doing this, and let's just check it out. Okay, so the counter is incrementing, and when I click on this minus button, the counter is decreasing. So we are almost done with our JavaScript counter. So in order to add some limits to this counter, we can add conditional statements like the if condition, and we will do it by adding the 2 lines of if conditionals. Okay, so if the count is equal to -10, then set the count value back to 0. And by copying it from here and by pasting in here, we will say if the count goes to 10, or let me just increase some more to it, or instead let me just change the value from 10 to 0. Okay, so save. Okay, so next, so when the count is equal to 10, the count will have the value 0. So let's just check it out. Control S to save, and then let me just increase the value. Okay, so did you see, as soon as the count passed the 9, it got back to 0. And let's just check with this minus. Okay, so it is working. So if you want to see the number 10, so we just need to do is if the count is greater than 10, or if the count is less than -10. So let's just check it out. Okay, so here we can see the number 10, and okay, so here it works, and then here it is the -10. Okay, so the thing is working well and good. So with this, we are done by creating the simple JavaScript counter. So I hope you liked the tutorial, and if you did, I want you to like and share this video to all of your friends and family who are interested in learning the new web technologies. In the future, I'm also going to bring advanced tutorials that are going to teach you new things that are required for our web development journey. So with this, I just want you to ask, if still you haven't subscribed to my channel, I want you to hit that subscribe button, and also don't forget to press that bell icon so you get notified whenever a new video is uploaded on my channel. So with this, I conclude my video. So we will meet in the next video. Till then, take care, bye bye, and also keep learning and keep coding.